All right, guys, it is Rick Ginn, and it is that time here on Flip with Rick. Today's topic's kind of insane, and I've never actually really addressed on how to stop being lazy and how to become rich. It's crazy because I've actually taken this actual journey. And what I'll do is we're going to apply it specifically to wholesaling, but honestly, you can take this live stream and apply it to any area in your life. I am not kidding you. It works. So even if you're, hey, who's this crazy guy? What's he talking about? My name is Rick Ginn. I am the Rick and Flip with Rick. You guys probably know my son, Zach. And we run a wholesaling operation, a seven-figure one here in South Florida, and we love what we do. Obviously, I've been doing it for over 20 years, and I have an extreme passion for this business. And what we do is the purpose of this channel is to unite wholesalers and give them an outlet to learn this business without fear of being oversold every product in the world from people who don't know what they're doing. And our goal is to get you your first deal and easily get you your first $100,000. Remember, guys, wholesaling is actually really simple. Us humans complicate it. I am the living example of how complicated I've made this business. I've made a ton of money. I've complicated it. I've tried to reinvent it 1,000 times. And when it all comes back around, you just go back to the fundamentals of wholesaling, and that's how you make money in this business. So here's what I want you to do. You have a chat. Let me know what market you're in, what's going on. Just say hello. It's a great place to connect with others. Honestly, there's people in this chat that have done so many JV deals, and I'm fine with it. And I want you to do it. There is no requirement to do a JV. You can do it with me and Zach. We have updated our program. We got some amazing things coming out with it. You don't have to take a course with us. And if you go, hey, what's this guy talking about? How can I learn this wholesaling? Go to freewholesaling.com. I'll scroll it eventually on the bottom here. And that's where you can learn with 27 years experience, everything you want to know about wholesaling. You do not need to go to all these people who need to charge you $5,000, $7,000, and $10,000. It's ridiculous. Guys, I've been through the fire. I've done it. I do this today, and I want to share it with you because the world has changed, the way we share information, and the days of living in these archaic issues where it's like, if you give me X amount of dollars, I will sell you my soul. I don't sell my soul. My time is extremely valuable. So I don't want to do 40, 50 hours a week of doing Zoom calls with people all day, because the reality is 90 to 95% of the Zoom calls, they're going to fail because they have no idea what they even got into. They got so excited. Rick's going to help me buy 10 properties and it's going to be amazing. That's not the truth. That's not how this business works. And I'm here to be the voice in wholesaling. Nobody ever speaks up for this business. All you guys get is gurus pounding you with how they're going to fix your life. But the reality is they have a 95% failure rate. So not all gurus are bad. I'm sure there's some good ones out there. But for the most part, wholesaling specifically is so watered down. My goal here is to make this completely transparent, help out as many people as possible. And then somewhere you're going to go, man, I want to do business with Rick and Zach. They have been sincere. They've been authentic. They've been honest. And that's what we want to do. So if you guys, I get fired up, man, when I talk about this stuff. I love this business. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're a hater on good. I'm not. I love wholesaling. And for wholesaling to really thrive and survive, we all have to find a way to work together. I'm okay paying someone to help me out, but man, you better make sure you got results. And for the most part, you can almost fake anything on the internet anymore. You can't trust people anymore, and it's a pain in the butt. So we want to be your honest, trustworthy solutions, because me and Zach are the only people that put out 100% free content. And when I say free content, we don't ever charge. Why? Because we don't have to. And we are here for the long haul, the long play. Most people in coaching are grabbing that money as fast as they can, and they're going to go out and increase their lifestyle. They might buy some properties. God only knows what they do with the money. But if you get value from what me and Zach do me a favor. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure you smash that like button, and you will learn that we are trying to earn your trust. I never take anyone's trust for granted. And the problem with this business is you get these wild pitches. You think it's going to solve all your life's problems, and it only puts you in a deeper hole. And I'm here to shut that crap down. I'm sick of it, man. It's worse today than I've ever seen it. I get ads every day. By the way, me and Zach run 0 ads. We have a Facebook community, Wholesaling Houses for Real, 86,000 people. I know you guys enjoy this stuff. You can't sell in that group. You can't be a guru in that group. And every guru tries to penetrate it. It's so crazy. So if you have a question, put it in the comments. Join the live link. If you don't know how to go there, go over to Wholesaling Houses for Real. Make sure you subscribe to all their channels, the Rick Ginn channel, the Zach Ginn channel, the Flip with Rick. Why do you guys have so many channels? So we can segment the comments so you guys can go and seek the stuff you want out. So anybody on here has ADHD? I do. It's a gift. It's not a curse. Whatever your teachers told you, they were dead wrong. You're right. I'm never getting a job. I sucked at getting a job. A job is misery. A job's where people go to sell out their dreams, to build someone else's dreams. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm here to tell you it's never going to get you rich. That's rule number 1. Number 2, wholesaling, you have to have fun with what we do. So I'm a high energy guy. I like to have fun. I only want to work with people that I really enjoy working with. That's another reason why I do not sell my time in coaching, because I can't babysit people that can't help themselves. So what I do is if I took 100 people watching this live stream, 1,000, whatever it is, and just 10, 15% of you wanted to run it to the hill, I'll help you get there. But don't waste my time if you just want to dabble, because I've been doing this a long time and I'm telling you, dabbling will get you killed. So let's get into it. I'm going to run a little video and then we'll jump into questions.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and then they got go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
I did, guys. So if you go, man, what the heck's going on? That I still watch that to this day, and I love it. And when me and Zach introduced this video and made it like our theme song, I just thought it was amazing because there's so much going on there. I could do an entire show on that. And like one day I got to get him on our show. So you guys can easily download it, your alarm clock, just look it up. Or heck, just listen to our live streams and let it go from there. So we are talking about how to stop being lazy and how to get rich now today. And I'm going to give you some rules. You got to understand, I'm not just winging this. Listen, my son is young, but he's highly, highly experienced and he learns. And if you could just take that mantra. So I got a lot more years on him. I'm 53 years old and I'm telling you, I'm going to give you my life lessons. And if you were my son, or my daughter, or my aunt, or my wife, I would sit down and tell you this exact thing, and I would not change it. So let's jump into that, and then I'm going to jump into questions because I want to help out as many people as possible. So let's get into it. By the way, if you guys want to learn how to do what we're doing, go over to, let me pull it up here, freewholesaling.com. It's scrolling on the bottom. I'm going to leave it up for just a second. I don't like too many distractions on it. We don't run ads on this channel or anything like that. We recommend products we use in our business instead of help to you. We actually train them on you. Knock yourself out. It's not a requirement in our business. So guys, make sure you are subscribed. And please, if you like the content, smash that like button. So let's get into it. We've all been stuck in the laziness, the analysis by paralysis, and it's always the same thing. So I want you to understand this first. There's only 3 phases you can be in life. You can look behind everything that's happened to you where most people are stuck in life. And that's what gets you into depression. Sorry, that's the fact. Something didn't go right and you can't let it go. Or you have anxiety, which is the fear of looking into the future, which paralyzes most people, gives them analysis paralysis. And then you have the present moment, which nobody ever fulfills it. It's challenging. Like, how can I be in this moment? I'm always thinking about the past and thinking about the future. And so you got to first, before you get into your laziness thing, is where are you on that chart a majority of your time? If you're constantly thinking about crap that happened to you in the past, you can't be in the present and you can't plan for a future. So you're going to have to address that. I'm not a psychologist. Honestly, I can just give you life experience. So the first thing we're going to do is, when we talk about that, first identify which timeline you spend most of your time in. And the more honest you are with this, the more progress you can make. So I'm not here to diagnose people other than ADHD. You know how I feel about that. Sometimes I just talk and talk, but I want to help out as many people as possible. So the first thing we got to do, we talked about lazy and switching over to getting rich. You guys got to fix your self-talk with yourself. I'm telling you, man, the person that you talk to the most is yourself. It's absolutely crazy, and nobody ever addresses this. Do you know you have over 70,000 thoughts a day? I mean, and predominantly 95% of them are everything that's happened in your previous experience, like the day before, the week before, the year before. That's crazy. And the thing is, you can fight this all you want. You can't overly control your thoughts. You just got to kind of let them flow. So a lot of you fight with your thoughts, but here's the problem: is your body is naturally wired for the negativity. It's the truth. And what happens is, when something goes wrong, say a deal falls apart, you beat yourself up. Now, it's okay to stroke yourself once, beat yourself up once. But the reality is, once you start that pattern, it just becomes redundant and it doesn't stop. And the reality is, you guys are your own worst critic. You beat yourself up. You're your own worst cheerleader. And until you fix this, you have zero shot at moving forward. So how do I address it? Number one, recognize it. You can't recognize every thought or you'll go crazy. But when you start having negative thoughts, go, okay, write them down. Why do I keep saying like this? Recognize it, forgive yourself, and move on, and come up with a playful, a kind of comical thought. So if a deal goes bad, you can just say, like, just go, listen, that was the funkiest looking house I ever bought. I should have known, and just kind of make a joke at yourself. Like, let's not buy funny looking houses anymore, and find the lesson in it and learn and go forward. But if you have the same redundant, nasty talk to yourself, you can never fix it. Guys, I'm guilty of this all the time. I got to sit there. When you write it down and you recognize it, oh my God, because you don't even know you're doing it. Stop beating yourself up. It's rule number one. You have to become your biggest cheerleader. Replace these thoughts. You should be your own best friend. And if you don't know how to learn to love yourself, you've got to do that first in life. Okay, I'm a student of this. I'm not a master of it. I'm a student of it, because if you don't take control, they will fester and get you out of control. And that's how you get stuck, analysis by paralysis, and you don't get stuff done. So identify it, write it down, and address it. The second one is, you guys got to stop feeding your mind crap. Sorry, it's the truth. I've done this for a long time. Your mind consumes everything that's delivered to you. So if you watch 3 or 4 hours of TV today, all those commercials and stuff, that's why they do commercials, because they work. It's called hypnosis. I love when people go, Rick, I don't believe in hypnosis. I go, okay. Everything in life is hypnosis. If you accept it or not, it's just completely up to you. The problem is, you don't even know you're being hypnotized by TV ads, by messages. Like, I can see the message a mile away in any type of media now. Like, it took me a long time to understand it. Everybody's got an agenda. Everyone's trying to get something accomplished. So if you don't feed your mind, other people are going to feed it for you, and they're going to give you their agenda, and it's not going to fulfill you, and it's going to hurt you. So if you're going to watch TV, we all watch TV. I like my sporting events. Can't watch the Dolphins anymore, but I try to record them. So at least I get through the commercials and I can block off time for doing it. And then go, listen, I'm not going to spend more than an hour and a half doing it. The problem is, you ever watch TV and it's like 4 hours have gone by? It happens all the time. This whole Netflix binge watching thing, guys, I think it's decaying society. I'm sorry. It's just, stop watching the movie and go make your own movie. Like, go make your own movie. It's okay to watch a movie to pass time, but like if that's all you do, you're going to be stuck there. So go out and be the star in your own show. Go out and be the hero. Go take care of your kids. Go take care of your family above your wildest expectation. But what you put in your mind, like think about this. If you're trying to become more physically fit and more healthy, you are what you eat. You are what you watch. It also goes with music and everything else you do. So it's also the people you talk to. So be a guard of your mind and just don't let everybody enter into it. And do not let anybody in your head that doesn't belong there. You're the only person that can allow them. It's up to you if you're going to let them in or not. So once we're moving forward, I don't want to be lazy anymore. What's the first thing we have to do after we correct our self-talk? We feed our mind the right diet, which is going to take some time, by the way, guys. Okay. You have to start with willpower because that's all you have. And all willpower is, it's a daily forced action. So if we talk about wholesaling, I'm going to make 200 calls today. I'm going to do them from 9 to 12 or whatever your timestamp is. And that's what I'm going to do. And you're going to force yourself to do it. It's going to be wildly uncomfortable. You might cry the first 2 phone calls. And then once you get 3 or 4 calls into it, it's like, why did I wait to do this? The anxiety alone takes most people out in cold calling. So you got to start with willpower. Here's the challenge with willpower. It's temporary. It will get the wheels started. It will not keep you in drive. Sorry. So what you have to do is convert that willpower. What do we convert it to? We're going to convert willpower to discipline. Take any action, do it religiously with willpower for 30 days, and you have a shot. Because the difference, discipline means it's automatic, it's non-negotiable. Willpower means I'm going to try to force myself to do this. The problem is willpower will fade. It always fades. It doesn't matter what it is. And the minute you start making it automatic, like for me, working out, if I don't work out, I feel lost. It's just it's just so ingrained in my body. It's a discipline because I get such joy and pleasure out of it because I know what the end result is with it. And that's how I treated my wholesaling. It was painful at first, but I got into a regimen and I adjusted as I went along. So you need to convert willpower to discipline. How do you do it? 30 days. They tell you 21. I'm telling you 30 because 21, you're going to have like a bad day or 2 in there. So I wanted to put in a full 30 days. Here's the next most important thing. You ready? Stop negotiating with yourself. Why? You set out to do a goal, a realistic goal. You want to achieve something. So say, hey, listen, I want to buy my first property. As you said, I'll do whatever it takes. But as soon as you got in the fight, you're like, I don't want to make that many calls. They were so mean to me. Now you're negotiating. And the worst part is you're negotiating with yourself. You know both sides of it, and you are going to give in. So what you have to do is you have to separate mind from body. Let me give you an example. If you want to go work out and you say, I'm going to work out 4 days a week. There's no 3 to 4. It's 4. Pick one. That's it. So Monday you worked out great. Tuesday, Wednesday you skipped it. Thursday you don't quite feel like it. Now you got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, it's the weekend. I can't do it. Like, I don't feel like doing it. I'm going to go out with my buddies. Stop it. You treat yourself first. You have to take care of yourself first. Remember, the flight attendant says, yeah, in the event that there's a depressurization of the cabin, you got to put your oxygen mask on first. Guys, stop negotiating with yourself. Because a lot of times your body will tell the mind what to do, not the other way around. And if you're in that situation, you need to address it now. This happens in wholesaling. This is not just about physical fitness and diet and weight management. When it comes to your business, when you set stuff and then you negotiate and waver from it, you're never going to get it done. And if I can drive this one point home is stop negotiating with yourself. Write it on your blackboard, write it on your whiteboard. Let everyone know this is going to happen no matter what. Because the difference between people who get stuff done and the people who don't, the lazy and the rich, is they both want to do the same things. They both set the same tasks. The difference is the lazy people do it when they want to do it. And when they don't feel like doing it, They let their emotions take over and they don't do it. Rich people do it no matter what. End of story. I'm getting it done. And guys, there are days I just don't want to work. I'm just like you, but I have commitments. I have employees. I have people depending on me. And if I want to create the legacy I want to do, I've got to suck it up and get going. I'm not talking about if you're deathly ill, but there's all days we just don't feel like doing stuff. But if you set out and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do in wholesaling, and you negotiate with yourself, you're never going to get it done. And the thing is, once you negotiate with yourself once, it becomes a habit. Now you have to unpack and unwind that habit for 30 days to convert the willpower to discipline. So I'm telling you, you're all dealing with this because I struggled with this a lot of my wholesaling career. I would be phenomenal, and then I got lazy, and then it's like I went through all this stuff. And that was all in my first 5 to 7 years. And a lot of you are going through that right now. Let me know in the comments if you are, because I'm here to help you out. I'm not calling you out. I'm just telling you what you need to do. I'm going to keep moving here because I'm going to take calls. Okay. Boy, this is going to be a tough one. Let me just spit it out now. Stop being a jack of all trades. I am the master of jack of all trades. When I grew up, I didn't have a choice. I had to help out around the house. I'm not going to get into like my personal things, but I had to do a lot of the fixing of the house. I had to like figure things out, and we just didn't have a lot of money. So when I became one of the men of the house, I had to figure out how to hang fans, how to do stuff, all when I was a very young man. And I came really handy to the point everyone would call me, hey, Rick, can you help me hang a fan? Hey, Rick, can you help me strap this up? Hey, Rick, can you help me fix this on a boat or a car? And I learned a little bit about everything. And I'm here to tell you down the road, it is a nightmare because I can pretty much, are you one of these people that you feel like you can do anything? It becomes like a habit. So I'll watch a tradesman do a job. I'm like, okay, I know how to do that. You're not going to learn it doing it once, especially electricity, guys. If you get shocked, you understand, especially on 220. So the reality is a lot of my life, I thought learning everything, it's a survival mode. And what happens is if there's ever a hurricane or you got stuck on an island, I know I'm going to live. I know how to hunt, fish. I know how to do everything. I know how to dam water and do everything. But in the reality of the business world, it is of zero value. Every now and then in a pinch, it's like, hey, Rick, can you hand this fan? We got someone to come look at the property in an hour. We're going to make $100,000. I will fix that fan. But the problem is you never stop, and it becomes a massive addiction. And so what you have to do is, and you guys will see this in my son, I didn't let him become the jack of all trades. You know what he did? He became the master of wholesaling. It's all he knows. And in his short career, going on 6 years, he knows more than most wholesalers out there. Why? Because it's his entire focus. So what you have to do is stop being the jack of trades, and you got to focus and immerse yourself in just one thing. And guys, this applies to anything you do in life. Stop being a jack of all trades. It's a waste of time. Think about how we do schooling. It's ridiculous. You're going to learn a little bit about math. You're going to learn a little bit about English. You're going to learn a little bit about physics. You're going to learn a little bit about geometry. Like, it's crazy. I'm telling you, to become a master in anything, dedicated, singular focus, and completely immerse yourself in it. Let me give you an example of immersion. A lot of the trainings that I did, if I ever read a book or I watched a video, or even if I did a course or anything like that, I buried myself into it. I would lock myself in the room. I'd watch it 9 or 10 times. I would analyze it. I'm the type of person that has to write notes. I still do it to this day. My son makes fun of me. I just write notes like crazy. And when I did that, it changed. It just changed. Like, I don't know about you, but so think about this. If you guys are a Netflix binge watcher, why do you do it? It's like, I get so into it. I feel like I'm there. Take that same attitude and put it in your wholesaling business. Guys, focus and immersion is probably one of the greatest things you can do. And if you're ever in a tough time in your life and you got a challenge, sometimes this is the meditation. This is the medicine that will help you get through it. So we've all been through tough times. Okay. I recently lost my mother, and part of my deal is I just immersed myself in my business. I'm like, because I can't fix it. So I just want to keep our mind occupied. Otherwise we go to past thoughts and we get stuck. So if you're going in a challenging, If you're completely broke, if you're tired of being lazy, go over to freewholesaling.com and just immerse yourself, because I'm not charging you $5,000 for it. So just go, my God, this is a gift dropped in my lap. I don't know how long Zach and Rick are going to do this. I'm waiting any minute for them to put a $5,000 price tag on this course. I'm not going to do that, because I'm earning everyone's trust watching this live. And how do I earn your trust? I do what I say and I honor my word. Very rare in our business today. And I commend anybody who backs their word up with what they do. But I'm tired of everybody throwing around free, free, free. Most frees are a funnel, and you guys are onto it. And I'm just letting you know, we are the ultra free, because the idea is if I can get you very efficient in wholesaling, you'll eventually want to do business with me one way or the other. You'll find me. I promise you, you'll find me. I might get in a plane and just travel all around this country and meet everybody. I don't care. So focus and immersion is absolutely amazing. The next one, we're getting now a little bit in the nitty gritty. You have to prioritize your schedule. Here's the deal, guys. Either you schedule your day or your outside environment will dictate it for you. Which are you doing right now? And be brutally honest. So I force myself to use Google Calendar. I know how simplistic it is, but it works. So you can use it on your desktop. You can use it on your dumb phone. I call them dumb phone now because I think it's making us all dumber in a way. But I will tell you, it gives me reminders. I check it. And the key with this is set your day in advance the night before. You have to plan, guys. I'm sorry. If you want to get stuff done and you want to stop being lazy and become rich, if you do not have a planner, you have zero shot. There's no way. Your brain cannot memorize everything you need to get done in a day. So it's free. There's no financial cost to this. Plan your day out. Okay. And when you plan your day out, I want you to take down the biggest task first, the one that freaks you out the most. Now, it doesn't mean get up at 5 a.m. and cold call, but prioritize what you need to get done and understand what you need to get done versus just doing menial tasks like getting a logo done, getting your LLC named. That's not money generating activity. So I'm going to prioritize my planner based on revenue, activities, and anything that has to do with marketing, sales is what my primary focus is going to be. End of story. That's how I'm going to do it. You also have to take account if you guys are working. I worked through my first 8 months of doing wholesaling, and I know what it's like. You really got to plan it. I didn't plan it well, and it drove me nuts, and I'm here to tell you. So here's one key you've got to understand whenever you're doing any type of calendar planning. My favorite time, because I was erratic. It took me 2 years to get into this. Okay. Some of my ADHD just flows through because I want to be everywhere at a million times. But the problem is life is weird. So we all like to plan it, but God has another plan for us. So here's what I do is I do 2-hour time blocks, maximum 2-hour time blocks. So if I'm cold calling, which I don't, I fully admit it. But if I was making follow-up calls, it's 2 hours. Because if I do that, I'm much more efficient and I don't take phone calls. I don't take messages unless it's an absolute emergency. Take 2 hours because studies show that 2 hours, the average employee gives 2 to 3 hours of work on an average office a day. That's it. So you're 8-10 hours a day. It doesn't matter. Most of the time you're sitting in the water cooler, they're BS and they're surfing the internet. So you guys work for yourself. So do maximum 2-hour blocks. After your block, take at least a half hour for stuff to get done. Get stuff done. Return phone calls, go to the bathroom, grab a snack, a bite to eat, whatever you need to do. Okay. And then you can set your time blocks. Usually you'll set 3 to 4 time blocks for the day. And then you prioritize those time blocks and make sure they are activities circulating around marketing and sales, because that's what you have to do in the beginning to get it done. So, I know this is a bit of a froth over, but I'm here to tell you guys, if you take the steps I just gave you, if somebody dragged me when I was 18, 19 years old and forced me to do that, Mona, how unpleasant, I would have thanked them. I would have said, my God, thank you for telling me this. Now, here's the reality is it's not as easy as it sounds to implement. It sounds easier than it is, but once again, if you go back to the one where I said, stop negotiating with yourself, stop doing it. So This live stream is replayed. Go back and check it out. I need you guys to fix your head. And if you're having negative talks, like, I don't know if I can ever get this done, that's where it kind of starts. So you got to start there. How bad do you really want this? What is your why? What is your belief? Do you have the conviction to get through wholesaling? This process will help you. See, laziness is just a form of procrastination. It's just like, if I don't make a decision, by the way, if you don't make a decision at all, you made a decision. You just don't know it. And you live in this la la land, and there's nothing worse to me when someone can't make a decision. It drives me nuts, especially in business. Personal, I deal with it. You know what I'm talking about. But I want to be around people that can make a decision. And the really cool thing about me and Zach, we have never centered your decision making around paying us money. But you got to make decisions. You guys got to take a massive amount of action. And so the biggest cure to laziness, if laziness is sitting in motion and doing nothing, what's the complete opposite? It's like, go crazy, break stuff and get it done. I don't care. And that's what it takes in wholesaling. A lot of people are like, I'm going to make 5 phone call todays and get it done. So you guys know we're running the 100 offer challenge. Me and Zach introduced it yesterday. Do it. Use it as momentum, guys. Think about this. You're a plane. Okay. A plane sits in a hangar, is like, it doesn't move. We call that plane lazy, right? Maybe it's fueling up, but when it comes down on that runway, it starts going 1 mile an hour, 3 mile an hour, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. And before you know, you're flying 400 or 500 miles an hour, 30, 40,000 feet above the air. It's crazy. That plane can't do it without momentum. Why? Because that plane wants to get to a destination. If you want to get there, you're going to have to take action. If you want to freeze yourself, but here's the reality. Laziness doesn't fix the problem. It only makes it worse. So if you're having that problem right now, just take some of these basic actions, look into it. Life's short, enjoy yourself. And the beauty of wholesaling is you get to dictate your day. But when you go to work, you got to work it. You can't just hope you pull up one day and there's a duplex in your driveway. So, okay, let me get to some comments here. Let's see here. Awesome. So Angela's got her first offer out on the 100 days. So Angela's got 99 more opportunities, but today ain't one. You don't want me rapping, guys. It's pretty bad. I know. So, calling Liz out and making a decision, guys, like once you realize that when you don't make a decision, you're actually making a decision. You just don't, you're not conscious about it. And that's the worst thing about it. So, okay. I had some, let's see here. So Diana kind of gets my message is, negotiating with yourself is just tough. And I want you to think about this. If you can't keep a promise, so what you guys think sometimes when you negotiate yourself, if you say, hey, listen, I'm going to make 200 or 300 calls 5 days a week, and you don't do it, you think, well, then I failed. Like a lot of you are scared you're going to fail, that you're not going to get a deal by making those calls. Well, let me tell you, if you go through and do that, you honored your commitment. And I promise you, you're either going to get a deal from it or you're going to get a life lesson from it. Now, I'm not going to point you down the right path. I don't guarantee anything. No one's ever guaranteed me anything. Life's not fair. But if you make enough action, you will eventually get what you want. End of story. But if you keep negotiating with yourself, you have zero shot. Remember, negotiating with doesn't mean you are guaranteed a positive outcome. It just means I'm going to take the steps and actions Rick and Zach told me to do. So by not doing them, you can't get there. The jack of all trades, man, I'm a king of this, man. Like that was a problem for me. You don't want to be a handyman. Do you know when I first started flipping houses, not flipping houses, I did wholesaling. I decided for a short term to try to fix them up. What a nightmare. Oh my God. I hated every minute of it. I don't want a tool belt around me. I hate it. Do you know, like, I love my son to death, but like, he's not a tool guy. I tell Zach, hey, yeah, hand me this or something. Like he knows the tools. Don't get me wrong, but like If I had to ask for like a specialty tool, you just stare at me. I love that about him. You know why? Because he's not a jack of all trades, because he has the money to call a handyman to fix anything he wants. Why understand every tool? Unless you have a hurricane, then you got to understand tools. So I appreciate it. Okay, let me answer these last few. I'm going to jump on the lives. Says, hi, Zach. Well, I'm not Zach, I'm Rick, but it's okay. If I look like Zach, I take it as a compliment. 2 questions. How would you respond to a seller who is asking, are you living in the property? The answer is no. End of story. What's up, Pit Lover? I appreciate your comments. I try to listen. I'm trying to help out as many people in this business that want to be helped. And I'm trying to switch the 95% failure rate and at least jack those numbers up and find the people that want help and stop taking everyone's money that doesn't do anything in this business. Because to me, that's a crime in itself. If you know you have a 95% failure ratio, why don't you fix it? Sorry. And Tommy Boy says, listen, I know I just need to take action. Action is the cure to analysis paralysis and laziness. Days when I don't feel like running, I like to run. It feels good to me, and it gives me time to I can just think about my breathing and hitting my stride for goals per mile. And when I don't feel like doing it, I just go do it, because once I get into it, I'm fine. But it's like sometimes that little anxiety before we start a task is very, very taxing. So let's jump on. If you guys don't know how to do the live, go over to Wholesaling for Houses for Real. You click on today's live link, and on there'll be a StreamYard link. You can click on there, and that will get you started. So let's jump on, and let's take everybody in order here. What's up, Sam? How you doing?
Hey, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. What's going on?
All right. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I really don't have complaints. I got a lot of issues going on, but it's by the way, if a lot of people think about well, if I'm lazy or I do analysis paralysis, I won't have issues. It's the complete opposite. Everybody watching this live stream has some sort of issue going on in their life. So if you know everyone has issues, you might as well get the best issues that you can deal with. So if you're rich, you have options to deal with your issues. There was a time in my life I did not have options. That's why I was always the jack of all trades. And it's I'm slowly, right now, I'm down to my last toolbox, because I don't know about you and a man in a toolbox. There's something sacred about it. It doesn't matter how rich you are. But as tools break and stuff, I don't replace them anymore. I just keep calling people to help me fix stuff. So it's I have good problems. How do I grow this? How do I do this? How do I buy more properties? How do we grow this business? And they're challenges, but they're funner problems, if I guess that sounds. The days when I had to fight laziness, what was I going to do today? How am I going to pay the electric? How am I going to pay the mortgage? Man, dude, that was a long struggle for me, guys. If you're in it, I get it, man. I was there. I did it. So what can I help you out with, Sam, today? What's going on?
Well, I have 3 properties that I've been talks with. Let me tell you a little bit what I've been doing since the beginning of February. The beginning of December, I've been strictly doing probates. So I get an average of 35 leads a day, skip trace, and then text all the numbers associated with that lead. So it's I send out 80 texts a day average.
Okay.
And I've been doing that every day since the beginning of December, and it's working pretty good. So I have 3 deals. I have one deal I wanted to ask you about, where the house is a smaller house, probably 1,000 square feet, and it's in horrible condition, needs a complete rehab, probably 50,000 rehab. But they have tenants in there who've been there for 7 years. They pay every month on time, and they do not have a lease, and they know the tenants. And it's a wife, a husband, and a special needs child. And I'm wondering what you think about that from a cash buyer's perspective. Does it matter? Tenants?
Okay, so you hit me with a lot there. So this particular property you're talking about, does it need massive rehab?
Yeah, it needs a full probably about 50,000. The roof is good, but that's an 8-year-old roof, so that's probably okay. I looked at it, seems fine, but everything else, pretty bad.
Did tenants just run it to the ground?
Yep, that's But that's
Okay.
what the
So
owner
like
said.
well, the owner's got to take responsibility. It's the owner's fault. It's just be brutally honest. Like it's the truth. Owners who let tenants run properties to ground like that, it's their fault. It's not the tenant's fault because you put a bad tenant in there and you didn't follow up and manage them. This
Yeah,
is the number one type of deal I buy. End of story. And I'm not here to make the owner feel bad. Like
right.
you can't. Like they're your customer. But the reality is the owner got complacent. The cash was rolling in. It was easy. Somebody told them, probably some guru told them, just rent it out. It's easy money. It's just going to come in every month like automatic. It's what we call passive income. And guess what? You go out to look at the property. Tenant's like, one day I can't flush the toilet. And he's like, oh my God, look at this property. Dude, I've done this myself. And now he or she's a tired landlord. And now they want you to solve their problem. Now,
Well, it was a probate. It was their mother had the property, and
so
she
was the
passed
mother the
away in
landlord?
October. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is where you're at. So how much are the tenants paying?
800 a month, every month on time, 7 years.
So the only like kicker
There's
here,
no mortgage on the property.
yeah. So here's the kicker here. Here's the only thing I'm sensitive to. I don't want to kick a special needs child out on the street, so to speak.
That's what I'm
But
thinking.
should a special needs child be living in such a horrible, dilapidated rental property? So to me, it's kind of like they're offsetting arguments. I've walked, guys, like I can't tell you how many deals I walk away just because it's the right thing to do. I've had people. I had a guy who adapted the entire house on a probate for his wife for a wheelchair, and she'd been in the house for 30 years. He said she's never really left. And when we got down to it, he's like, "I need the money," but I'm just like, but what are we gonna do with her? Like, what's the plan? He goes, I don't have one. I'm just gonna get the money.
Yeah.
I think he was going to like leave her. And I'm just like, I can't be a party to this. Like, I get it. I can't solve everyone's problem, but man, I am not going to lose sleep at night.
Yeah.
I've had some people who are like, hey, you can buy this house, but you got to evict this 92-year-old lady. Like, what did she do? He's like, nothing. I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Well, so from
And
a cash buyer's perspective, do you think that they would evict or would they keep it going?
you can't keep those tenants there because they've ran it to the ground. Like,
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
you got like, there's no way. So I would probably, I would get the low. You got to get it way like you got to get it cheap.
I offered him 49 and a half, and he
What did he
said
say?
no, the lowest he could do is 70. And I think the resale, like total rehab and sale value is probably like 160, 70, maybe 160, 170. So I offered him 49 and a half. He was like, no. I was like, all right, well, let me call you in 2 weeks. Let's see what happens.
So here's
He
what
was
I
like,
would
all
do
right.
is I would probably just put it under contract, and then I would put it under like a 30-day inspection period. And
Yeah, that's what I told him. Yep.
So what state are you in?
Well, I'm focusing on DC pretty much, but this is Maryland, this particular place.
So you just got to get familiar with like your probate laws there, if they can sell it before the probate's completed, which they should be able
Yep.
to.
Yeah, they can.
And just keep selling it on that. And then what you need to do is I would put it under contract, and I would
trying.
I would bring a cash buyer there, and like everyone's gonna like they're gonna freak out. And then I think you're gonna be able to easily negotiate the price down. And you might have to get like a GC to go in there and go, listen, can you just write me up what the cost to fix this thing is? And when he gives you the number, because there's a lot of stuff you're not even seeing, because the problem is tenants like this, the tenants and the landlord didn't take care of the property. And now that the landlord's passed away, it's really challenging. So you're going to have plumbing, you're going to have electrical, you're going to have roof, you're going to have AC, you're going to have heating element. It's like, I think 50 is going to be light, in my brutal honesty. Like everything's so expensive now. So
Yeah,
what used to
it's
be
just a
10,000
small
dollar
house.
yeah, but it's an entire, like, it might be closer to 80. I'm just preparing you, but to
Hey,
get
you're
it
not
to
wrong.
retail. So I would go and put it under contract, and then I would size up what's going on with a special needs child. The problem is, like, I don't have a special needs child, and I have a soft spot for anyone who does. And I just, you don't want to, the kid's been there 7 years, but like, it's not a good environment. So I don't
Yeah.
feel bad about, I think you just got to give them time. And because you have a probate, you can take advantage of the time. Number two, you got to me, tenants that are not good. I'm sorry. They don't take care of the property, but maybe the landlord let it in such horrid conditions. They're like, hey, I just want to get by.
Yeah.
And number three, you can kind of utilize the probate to bring your cash buyers in there to see what kind of price you can get. And then you can decide if you need to get a discount from there. Remember, you're trying to solve a huge problem for this seller. You have a probate, you have a horrendous property. You got a tenant that I don't know how much of it's their fault, but like no normal tenant would live there, right? Like, because
Yeah.
it's cheap rent. That's why they stay there. And you have a special needs child. My friends, this is what we call wholesaling. If you can solve this problem and make everybody happy, it's a win. I don't want someone to suffer from it, though. But the reality is, if you gave them 30 or 60 or even 90 days to find another place to live, I think it's the right thing to do for that family and the child. So I always look at the welfare. A lot of people I meet a lot of wholesalers in my local market. I'm not going to give names, but they have no problem kicking out anybody. Like they don't care. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Like life's too short for this stuff. I am not kicking out little old ladies, special needs, handicapped people. Like there's just like sometimes they have no other place to go. And in Florida, it's really challenging now. So a lot of times you can sell it to the cash buyer. Just make sure you have some sort of agreement with the tenant so you're not the bad guy in the deal.
Okay.
So what else you got?
All right. So I got two more.
Okay.
Like talks with sellers, no contracts yet, but I got another house. This one's
Okay.
in the Bethesda area, and the ARV in this area is like over $1 million. And this guy says he cannot sell the property until he gets it assessed. It's a probate as well, but the assessment's already been done by the county. It was done January 1st, 2023, and he's like, I can't sell it. I have to get someone to assess it, and then the county can look at that assessment and see how much they need to be paid for something.
Well, it's just it has
Sounds
to be
weird.
taxes. That's it. Like
Yeah,
that's
but
only
it's already been assessed, right? So he doesn't need
it's
to do that.
automatic. It's
That's what I
automatic.
thought.
There's millions of properties. So how
Okay.
did you come across this lead? It just out of curiosity.
Probates, like they're all out of DC. Like Bethesda's pretty close to DC.
Yeah.
So I guess it was his aunt. So I guess she lived in DC and she had a few properties. This is one of them. This is like the one that they're getting rid of. So
So
Bethesda's like 2 miles out of DC.
yeah. So the only challenge when you get in like $1 million properties is it becomes it's not your standard probate, and it become a much more formalized probate depending on what state it is. And there's all sorts of things you have to like figure out. It's not the easiest road. How is the property? Is it in good shape?
It's in decent shape, and the county assessed it at the whole property. They assessed it at like 670K,
No. So
670K.
I get it. It came on a probate. Like I always give it a shot. I mean, I tried a $15 million probate once. It got
That's
down
the
to
next
the wire.
question I have for you.
They got down to the wire because they needed a proof of funds to put up. I think they were demanding $5 million cash up front. And like
Wow.
the problem is when you get in the more sophisticated properties, the level of circumventing gets very high. Like
Yeah.
they're like, hey, what's your net worth? How much cash do you have in the bank? And then you have to deal with financial managers before you even get to the lawyers. And
Okay.
that becomes challenging. I'm just going to be like, you really have to be loaded up. So before you spend a lot of energy and time on it, just make sure you can get a good price. Remember, if you can get a good price, you can sell anything. So if I had a Rolex watch, say it's worth 15 grand, and someone gives me 5, I know I can move it. Even if I'm broke, I know I can move that product. So if you get a good price on it, it's fine. If not, don't spend a lot of energy on it, because the reality, guys, wholesaling is you try to stay at the average median price points, although some states $1 million is kind of like close to it, because state of Florida has gone bonkers. We're at $500,000 now. It used to be $150. So
Yeah, that's typical for this area. That ARV
it's typical.
is
So,
real
but
high.
honestly, make sure you get a really good price, because if you can't fund it and do all this other stuff,
Yeah.
because they're going to be very demanding on like proof of funds and deposit requirements.
They're also in New Jersey, so they're pretty motivated. They're not trying to come down here.
But it's
So
got to
yeah,
be
I'll
good.
give it a shot.
So
Yeah.
the other thing you can do with them too is, you can do a creative financing deal on it too. If that's what but you can't make them do it. You got to see. So if the wholesaling option gets closed, see if there's any type of creative financing. So do they have a mortgage on the property?
No, totally paid off.
Yeah. So you could do like a seller financing deal, and you could
Like,
probably
and I
sell that.
pay them monthly kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, guys, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to use a bank for everything.
Interesting.
So if you could strike a deal up, what you got to figure out is what would someone pay to either lease or buy that property. You can run a regular amortization. And by the way, you know that little thing called Chat GPT?
Yeah.
You just stick it in there, it'll spit it all out for you. It's unbelievable how fast you can spit. You can do it on a phone call if you can get
Yeah, I
access
saw the
to it.
episode you guys did on that. That was
It's
crazy.
like me and Zach run it all the time on all our offers. I'm like, hey, I
That's
just tell
cool.
my acquisition, I go run it, just run a quick amortization schedule. So figure out with today's current rate, if you bought that thing for X amount of price, what it would cost you in monthly payments, and see what you could take it to market with. And if you
Okay.
can make a difference in it, why not? Like, who cares? Those sometimes when they're not there and they're like, okay, well, I'll keep it going. And then basically they get more money for it. So you could give them the price he asked for you, but they got to give you a deal. And remember, you are not stuck with traditional bank amortization rates. Let me give you an example. I have a deal right now, a very simple deal we recently did, where I offered the guy $35,000 for another mobile home. It's in an area that I know rents really well. So I thought 35 was a little bit of higher price. It should have been maybe 25 with repairs. I go, I'll give you the 35, but here's the deal. I'm going to give you $350 a month till it's paid off. End of story. So that's 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So I rent it out for $1,000 a month, and who care if I paid him 40 or 50? Do you think I care? Like, it doesn't
Yeah, there you
matter to
go.
me. And so like I didn't do it. He goes, you're going to do a traditional amortization schedule? I go, no, I'm giving you
Nope.
what you want. You got to give me what I want. I go, I'll give you 350 a month to go. He goes, that's all I was getting in rent. And then, we fixed it up a little bit, got a renter in there. I'm just like, and I
Oh,
got
sweet. I didn't even think about that.
yeah. So it's like, you can do stuff like that because you don't know what people's situation are.
Right.
So the key distinction when dealing with any type of seller, number one, make sure they're motivated, because otherwise you're in realtor hell. And number two, listen to what they want and use that information, take it in, and then see if you can make it work. It doesn't mean give them exactly what they want. You can give them what they want if you can get what you want, but you can't have it both ways. So price or terms, I get it. The wholesale deal is not going to work it out. What if I could give you $6,500 a month for that property? And you don't even have to get into the details on it. And then if they want to add interest on it, then you can add it. But like, try the framework, because I was going to offer the guy interest and everything else on it. He didn't give a crap. And then guess what? Guess what my strategy is in 2 to 3 years on that property?
What?
I'm going to call him up and say, hey, John,
Cash offer?
I got some great news. I came in across some money. I know I owe you about $26,000 left. If I wired you 15 grand, would that work for you? Like, we could wipe this thing out? And he'd be like,
oh, that's awesome.
Now, sometimes they take it, but I will tell you, this strategy I just used right there, it works like half the time.
Okay.
You can't do it 2 or 3 payments into. You got to let some time go by. You have to establish that you're going to pay them on time. But eventually you can go, hey, listen, you know what? I got this tax refund, and I figured, would you be interested if I could pay you off like right now? I know I still got another 8 years left, but what if I could just give you the money right now? What if I could just give you 15, 20? So even if he comes back and says, I can't do 15, Rick, but I'll take 20. I just got a $6,000 discount. Now, think about that on a bigger number scale. Oh my God. And so you don't have to do it, but like, you do it. Half the time they'll take it, because money today is worth so much more than money tomorrow every time. But you never know what, guys, you think so many times in your head, they're never going to take it. They're never going to take it. They're never going to take it. That's why me and Zach teach you to go for no, because you never know unless you ask. He or she that asks the most usually will get more than the other person. You know, those people are just like, I can't do anything. It's crazy. I love cultures that negotiate everything. Like, to me, it's amazing. In the United States, we all just assume everything's okay. That's the price. I'll take it. Could you imagine going to Starbucks and negotiating your cup of coffee? I mean, the damn thing cost them like less than 10 cents to make.
Yep.
And it's like, oh no, instead of $5, can I give you 4? And literally look at you like you're like a foreign nation. And I'm just telling you, in real estate, we have that luxury. It's one of the few luxuries that we can do it. So you guys got to utilize that skill. You never know what your seller's going to take. So don't discount it because it's such a big number. But on the wholesale, unless you can get a substantial discount, you can't even attack the wholesaling. And then just go back to them and go, listen, see what it's worth, see what you can get for it, and just say, listen, if I could give you 6,500, or I don't know, maybe it's 10 grand a month. I don't know what it is. I have a deal right now where I did it, where I offered the guy, this is when I was younger, and I've since sold the deal, but I offered him 5,000 a month. I'm like, oh my God, like that's a lot of money. Well, I wound up leasing it out for 9,500 a month. I was like, so what I did is I put it under contract. I gave it 30 days and I marketed the crap out of it. And I had people standing in line for it. And I was going to walk away from it, maybe over 100 grand. So
Wow.
I'm just telling you, ask. I love like eccentric properties because they're not easy to sell in today's market, so to speak. So look at your options, see what their motivation is. Try the wholesale first and then switch over and then listen to what they say and then think about it on paper. Go in a closed room and just use your thinking cap. Because that's how you make money in wholesaling. It's grind and hustle to get the leads. But once you get the leads, that's when you have fun. You're like, okay, can I make this work? Can I do this? I love creative financing. I didn't start out doing creative financing. I had to learn it through wholesaling. But all my creative financing leads comes through wholesaling because I'm looking for distressed properties, people that need to sell. Because if there's motivation, you can usually strike a deal. If there's no motivation, it's torture to me. I hate it. I hate MLS. And I still use it to buy some personal properties, but it's so archaic how the whole thing works. It's the same crap every time. So anything else?
All right, last one. Sorry to take up all your time.
Okay, let's go.
Actually, I gotta go. I gotta get back to work. My boss is gonna kill me. But all right, this is the big one. I have one more. Same deal. It's probate. This lady, she has 3 massive properties, 3 separate properties.
Okay.
Just outside of DC, and they're currently being used as self-storage facilities. There's one LLC for one of the properties, and then the other 2 properties are under one LLC. And the finances of all these businesses are horrible. They're barely breaking even. They might be losing money. But this lady, I think it was her uncle's. She's the sole heir. She's trying to move them quickly. And the county has assessed just the land value at like 5.5 million for all 3 properties combined. And I don't know what to do with this. She's trying to move it immediately. And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Getting information from her.
You're going to have to find the opportunity in it first. Because if you can't find the opportunity, you don't want to go through all this work. So like I get a lot of people bring to me, hey, this guy or this company owns 30 properties and they want to move them all in one stroke. It's always challenging because it's like you get a lot of dogs in there. You get a lot of stuff not making you money. And here's how I always test everyone. Like if somebody comes with you with like 10, 12, 20, 30 properties, just pick one. Give me your most tired and weak one. And if I can't make that work, I'm not going to sit here and like break my head trying to wrap you up in a $5 million offer for 30 properties. So the problem when you get stuff with that much drama, number one, it's best to have someone that can help you out. But the reality is most of these people.
That's why I'm calling you.
I know, but there's a lot of information. I can't do it in 5 minutes to just go, hey, here's what you need to do. So what you need to do, if you're going to make a decision about it, you got to get all the facts.
Yeah.
Here's a perfect example. There's someone, I'm sure he's in the comments, that I do lots of business with that I met through wholesaling. He started out, didn't do one deal. Now it's like just a rock star, just crushes it. And I hate the word rock star because it's abused in wholesaling. And he had a deal where the guys just had these 2 big apartments, not too big, but it was like 50 units. And he goes, Rick, he's 91. He's desperate to sell. And he kind of gave me the number and I ran it through my calculator. I go, dude, like it's got to be perfect at that price. He gets there. He goes, it's a nightmare. And by the time we were done talking, I go, have all the facts. He said, and here's my favorite. His accounting records are impeccable. Now, when I hear stuff like that, now you've piqued my interest because that means someone's taking care of the books. Dude, the guy sent his accounting records. We waited 2 weeks. When Zach was 4, he could have given me better accounting records in crayons. It was so bad. And when we were said and done, the initial offer, we cut it by 70%. and he's still mulling it over. I don't waste
Holy
time. I go,
crap.
man, if I'm buying this big of a problem, there's got to be a huge upside for me.
So that's
I,
what I'm saying. She wants cash and she wants to do it immediately, but I have no cash buyers that are like commercial like that.
she's going to have to offer a deal of a lifetime. So she's going to have to
Exactly.
open up. So is it, what are they properties? Is it vacant land? What is it?
No. There's 3 properties, and each of them have self-storage units on them where people go store their stuff, pay like a monthly rent.
Okay.
No one lives there, but they're like 60-year-old self-storage facilities. They're
How
huge.
big of a facility is it?
Like 14,000 square feet is the small one, and then I can't remember what the biggest one is. But 2 of the 3 are zoned industrial, and one of the 3 is zoned residential. So they're saying everything goes, and this is right outside of DC. The land is expensive. They're saying cut down the one that has residential and make like apartments on it. So the
I don't know.
land is
And
it's like a
you're gonna have to get someone locally to help you, like, see if it even passes the snuff test. Because if it doesn't pass the snuff test, don't waste your time on it. Like,
yeah,
storage is hot right now, though. Like, people are buying them like
exactly.
crazy.
It's a big
But if
business.
she's losing money, like, people don't want to lose money when they do storage. Like, it's got to make sense. So the real question is, like, how is she losing money? Is it bad management? Like, what's going on? So what's her total number she wants for everything?
The other thing is she listed it on the market. She wants 4.2 for the large one, 2 for
Yeah.
the smallest one, and 2.5 for the middle one. But I mean, no one's given her an offer yet. So if we give her a cash offer, say all 3 for like a total of 4 mil, and then someone would buy it for like 5 million, which is for the land, it's less than what it's appraised for just for the land. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. I don't know DC, and that's my challenge. But if you want to private message me, you can send it to support at Flip with Rick, and just put your information on there. I'll take a look at it and see if I have
Wait,
any
send it to what?
connections.
You said support?
Support at Flip with Rick.
And what's that through? Is that through Facebook?
No, it's just email.
Oh,
Just,
okay, cool.
yeah,
cool.
send that there. Put your name next to it, and I'll take a look at it this evening when I get through my day, is to see if I have a connection up there that can help you out with it. Because
Support
that's the
at
problem. Is
flipwithrick.com.
yeah, support at flipwithrick.com. Okay.
Cool.
Okay,
All right,
man.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, I'll see you, man. Later. Steven, you there?
Hey,
David, what's going
hey,
on, man?
not much.
In the
Just
car
waiting.
today, there, man.
Yeah, I'm working. I'm waiting, like to see if I get a delivery from Walmart, like Spark
Huh?
Driver, kind of like what is that thing called? Amazon. Like I'm
Okay.
delivering groceries pretty much right now because I usually do like painting work and like renovating houses and stuff like that. But I'm kind of like I'm at a point in my life where I've been trying to wholesale for 2 years, but it's like I've never been consistent with my marketing. Like I've set up campaigns before, like, and I mean, it's just like I'm horrible with like staying consistent and staying committed to it. And
So today's live was like custom made for you.
yeah, so that's why I hopped on. Cause right now, because the thing that kills me the most is hopping on the phone with the people, and it's like it's crazy because I love talking and I love talking
Yeah.
to people, and like even like strangers, like when I'm at like a store, like I mean I just love like conversating, but then I don't know, like just the whole thought of like talking to them about the house, and I've done it before, um, like I just need to do like what I did here and just like not overthink it and just get into it and freaking make the call. You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
Because I got.
when it boils down to it, wholesaling, you're really just connecting with people and conversing
Right,
with them and
right,
just converting that into cash. Like that's it. So
right,
many of you guys go out there and do your conversations for free. You
right.
might as well get paid for it. What you need to do, because I had to work while I did wholesaling because I had
Yeah,
obligations,
yeah,
and
me
I
too.
commend you for it, is you're just going to have to schedule yourself. And then
Yes,
number two is you got to stop negotiating and just got to, like,
right.
because you're
Yeah,
really good at willpower, but you got to convert that willpower to discipline. And you
yeah.
got
I
to
mean,
get extremely consistent to the point where, like, I can't live without this. I'm going to continue to do it.
that's where
And
it's at right now. That's
but the
how I
problem is a
feel. Like,
lot of you guys put conditions on your negotiations with yourself.
right.
Okay, so if you
Yeah.
put conditions negotiating with yourself, wait till you get to a seller, because that's going to be even harder.
Right.
If I get a deal, I'll continue cold calling. No, you can't do that, because
Yeah.
you're going to have to make crazy amount of calls just to get your first deal. And my favorite question is, Rick, how many calls do I got to make to do a deal? I go, honestly, if you're leading with that question, you're probably doomed from the start. I don't know. That's like saying how many tackles do I have to make before I make it in the NFL? I have no idea. A million?
You just gotta go.
2 million? Like nobody knows. It could be one tackle is so amazing. Like it's just, you got to, like, we're all guilty of going in and out of what we do. You have to find a way of just being ridiculously consistent with it. And until you solve that, you're going to have that constant problem. So you got to find a way that you can talk to customers, set time aside so you can still do your job and manage everything you got going in your life. But I would go back and replay today's live, because I'm telling you, man, I'm giving you 53 years in my hip pocket. I wish somebody grabbed me when I was a young man and forced me to do this stuff. I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn it the hardest way. And I want you to understand is you have the gift to talk to people. You just got to force yourself to discipline yourself to treat it as a business as opposed to like a little bit of a hobby. Because if it's a hobby, you'll get a deal or two here, but like there's a majority of people do wholesaling in general. They're hobbyists. They're like, I get 1 or 2 deals. What if you got 3 to 5 every month? Like, what would that do to your life?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like for me, that's the only option, and that's really what I'm going for this year, because I don't want to let another year like pass by. Like last year, I was a superintendent for a construction company, but it wasn't my thing because I'm not like a fan of like I'm not like a mean bossy guy. So holding people accountable is hard for me. Like I could barely hold myself accountable. That's really what I want to like.
This is what we have to fix. Okay, because I can't control everybody outside of you, but if you can't control what you got going here, I'm going to give you a hard fact of life. Life is going to be tough. And but the thing is, we all manage it. I'm no different than you are, buddy. Like the only difference is I forced myself to do it, and I made it a habit, and I turned it the willpower into discipline. That's it. I'm like the nicest guy in the world. I'm actually told I'm way like too nice to people. I'm just like, oh, Rick, I'm the worst landlord in the world. That's why I'm not allowed to touch any of my properties, because like I like every time I get a sob story, I'm like, I mean, tears start pouring out of my eyes. I'm like, oh, we can't kick this guy out. Like he's got this wife's she's pregnant. And it's just like, he hasn't paid the rent in 6 months, Rick. I'm like, man. And then you kind of like, well, we got to find a happy medium. So I just got out of the way. So you can't control everybody else around you, but what you do, you are 100%. There's everything you in that car right now was your choice. Everything you're doing. And once you know you're accountable for it, then you can move forward with it. But when you usually go, well, I'm giving you good feedback here. You just told me, I'm like, I'm too nice of a guy. And then I let myself off the hook. It's a choice, man. It's a choice. Do it or don't. And if you don't make a decision, you sit in this purgatory, double hockey sticks, whatever you want to call it. And to me, that's the worst place you can get, because nothing gets done in your life. Because you do a little bit of this job, you do the wholesaling, they drive you crazy. Your boss is driving you, and you're not doing anything you're passionate about it, and you're not making any money, and you get super frustrated. And that's when you make horrible mistakes. That's when you try crazy money schemes to try to dig yourself out of it. You're going to have to make a choice. Now, you can do both. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Most people don't want to do it. I was not crazy about working a full-time corporate job and doing wholesaling, but I just made it work. And after you figured out wholesaling, once you figured out your time block stuff, it wasn't that bad when you got into it. But you cannot do stuff when you feel like doing it. You will get murdered in this world. That is the difference between people who get stuff done and people who just float around in life. And I'm not, remember, Steven, you're not paying me a dime. So you got to understand the value in what I'm telling you. I'm telling you the truth. I'm looking you right in your eye. If I was your father, I would tell you this. I would grab you. I'm a little bit more bolsterous. Like, though, I don't like hit or anything, but my son's wrestling coach used to grab him like by the side of the head and just look at me. Because to get a point across, sometimes you just got to grab someone's head. Now, the old football coaches used to grab the helmet and shake you violently. I'm talking like sometimes you got to grab people's heads, snap, and look at me. I need you to hear what I'm telling you. And it has a profound effect on people when it hits.
Yeah.
I have had multiple coaches do this. It didn't stick. I was too young. I was too immature. So you're mature enough to understand. Like listen, guys, I didn't figure this out till I was 33. And then I spent the
No.
next 10 years of like, okay, now I know how to make money. How do I keep it? And that's a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother journey, which I would love to help you guys out
Oh
with.
yeah.
I'm just here to tell you stop negotiating. When you get home tonight, whatever, sit down and go, I want you to write it on your back. I am not negotiating with myself anymore. It doesn't mean it's going to work out. It just means I'm going to take the steps to to ensure my progress. Because
Yeah.
everybody wants to think everything's a straight line. It's this wild, wiggly thing. Oh my
Yeah.
God. So stop
You
negotiating
know.
with yourself. You already know you're doing it. And the fact that you're recognizing it is the key point. You have to make a decision. Otherwise, you're going to keep doing this forever, dude.
Yeah.
It's the truth, man.
That's the
Yeah,
scary thing to me. Like another
it is,
year.
but like it's fix it. So here's another
Yeah.
thing. If you guys are struggling with stuff, like Steven's being honest with me, I appreciate it, is Tony Robbins does an incredible exercise. He calls it the Dickens effect. So if you guys ever saw, I don't know if it's Christmas Carol with the Charles Dickens, your past ghost comes out and they show you, if you don't make a change, what your next 10, 20, 30 years are going to look like. And the idea is, if you go through it and you make it very emotional, like, okay, if I don't start eating right, I'm going to gain 100 pounds. I'm going to be stuck in a chair. My wife's going to leave me. My kids are going to hate me and I can't make any money. I'm going to be low on government welfare. And you just go, I can't take it anymore. The key is he takes you there without hitting rock bottom. Most people wait till they hit rock bottom and they go, okay, I'm going to make a change. The problem is, from rock bottom, it's a long climb out. So I never hit rock bottom, but some of you guys on this call are at the rock bottom, and rock bottom is an incredible thing, but you guys got to make sometimes your own rock bottom. So look at what you're doing now and say, if I don't make this change of negotiating with myself, what's my life going to look like in 10 or 20 years? And start looking at, if I don't make a change, what's my life going to look like? You already know what it's going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Just look to other people who have done it. Maybe sometimes guys, you got to look at your parents.
Mm-hmm.
God, I love my parents to death, but I don't want to be like them. Like, I know that sounds terrible. We all want better lives for everybody in our family. So you got to learn, like, we can learn so much. Guys, freaking go to a nursing home. Go sit down and people ask them what their biggest regrets are. It will change your mindset of how you operate your life. You guys think you're on this earth forever. You're not. You're on a very short time. Make a run at it. Make the best run you can and help yourself out. But we're all indoctrinated into this, like, go to school, get a good job, pay your taxes. It's all by design. The people decide to live outside of that, unbelievable lives. And I lived in the majority for the longest time, and I'm telling you, this is the path to get out. So, Stephen, I lost you, but go get it. Emery, are you there? Emery.
I am.
How you doing, man?
All right.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Emery. Oh, there you are.
I'm here.
How you doing, man?
There I are.
What's going on, man? What can I help you out with? What's that?
I have a question. I understand that. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand Arizona has a law that requires disclosing that you're going to wholesale the property. Are you familiar with that law?
It's a piece of cake, dude. It's a piece of cake. Go into freewholesaling.com. Like, we put it all in there. I'm not going to go, like, number one, I'm not a lawyer.
Well, I mean,
and I don't want to give you legal advice because
right.
I don't live in Arizona and I don't transact a lot in Arizona. So I don't want to give you bad information, but I will tell you it's very simple. It's one of the easiest ones to overcome. Like, don't even lose sleep about it. It's no big deal.
I mean, are people double escrowing it to get around it, or is it intent based as far as
It's just a disclosure. A disclosure is the easiest thing in the world. A disclosure is just say, listen, here's what I'm doing. Here's the problem is, like, when you buy a property, there's no guarantee you're going to wholesale it. So it's beyond flawed. Like, so in the reality is everybody has to disclose this, because in the event you were to sign a property, which every contract usually allows you to do, as long as it's in there or you put it in writing, then everybody would have to put this disclosure in. Every now and then, the whole idea of the original assignment was Richard Ginn puts this property under contract, and I go, you know what? I want to put it in my corporation. And we just decide, okay, we're going to sign it over as long as you live up to your obligations. That's the whole purpose of an assignment. The fact of what we do in wholesaling lives up and fulfills the purpose of an assignable contract. So the problem is, if a realtor or anyone else decides that now they have to have somebody else take over that contract, then they have to put in disclosure. So here's what all the realtors do. They have just everybody sign it. Have you ever gone to a realtor? You know you got to sign 8-9 pages of disclosures now before they even talk to you. Why? Because they're CYA. Like, I'm not going to risk it. So guys, when you have to do a disclosure to overcome a state statute, it's the easiest one of them all. Sellers they don't care. They'll sign it all day long. And you can go on the internet and get it. I believe we offer it in freewholesaling.com, but we don't give it as legal advice. So if you have a real question, I'm more comfortable with you contacting a local real estate attorney, or better yet, a title company is probably going to answer this question in one stroke. But don't let it stop you. I will tell you, Arizona is one of the most prolific wholesaling states. It is not an issue. In my opinion, it's one of the easiest states because it's just a disclosure. There are states where they require you to get a license. You have to double close, and like they put very few, by the way. But Arizona, man, like don't let it hammer you, man. Like, it's disclosures are easy. I signed so many disclosures, it's embarrassing. Disclosure just says you can't tell me I didn't tell you this. That's it. Doesn't guarantee you're going to wholesale it. So just throw it. So if I do a property in Arizona, I throw it in every packet. You're covered. End of story. They go, what's this? I don't know. It's disclosure. State wants me to sign. It just says if I wholesale it, I made you aware of it. You okay with that? Good. That's my explanation. Like, I'm not hiding stuff, but it's ridiculous. The problem is we have, like the state of Florida, we have so many disclosures. It's a ridiculous. If a house was built before 1970, we have to do a lead-based disclosure. Now we have to do a Chinese drywall disclosure because it was so bad in Florida in early 2000s. What's the other one? We have elderly laws. I think we have 6 disclosures now we have to sign that I never had to deal with when I started in this business, other than the lead-based paint. So they're never going to stop with it because we're legislated to death, and somebody got hurt or someone got screwed. There was some unscrupulous wholesaler out there that didn't tell someone what they're doing, and they pissed off the wrong person, and this is how they're going to protect everybody. It's not going to protect everyone. It's just another piece of paper you got to sign. Go sign a mortgage. They have 19 pages of disclosures before you even get into the actual mortgage. So don't worry about it, man.
Yeah, I'm not asking. Yeah, okay. I'm not asking for legal advice. I was just wondering what other people are doing as far as you know. So
I'm telling you, Arizona is the most prolific. Just sign the disclosure and move on with your life. It's no big deal.
Oh, okay. All right. I have another question.
Yes.
Working on a 10-acre parcel, the seller says they're very flexible. They inherited it 10 years ago, 11 years ago. It's in a small town in Mississippi. Population 12,000, and the top population is decreasing. And it's zoned residential right now. It's surrounded by commercial property and has railroad tracks behind it. I called the planning department. They said it'd be no problem to change it to commercial if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I asked them what civil engineer do they work with the most, and I asked that civil engineer if he has an idea what would be in the most demand. I also asked the planning department, what they do that people want, and it was not responsive. The planning department only said that they feel it'd be better as a commercial, and so did the civil engineer.
Yeah.
So I called other purchasers around the area, and I called them, and I talked to, I don't know, 10 maybe. None of them were interested in buying more land.
Yeah. Honestly, with that size population, you're gonna have challenges. With a population base of 12,000 and decreasing, it's probably not going to work. I'm just like, you would have to have a personal play in it and understanding it. And like, So unless you're doing the right things by calling and see if you can provide value to anyone, but like, I just don't think there's anything there. Like, I like that they got it inherited and they sat on it for
Mhm.
10 years. So unless they want to do something like, you would have to come up with something super creative because the property does not produce cash. And that's the challenge. So like, how do I pay you? Even if they gave it to you, you'd still have to pay the property taxes and figure out what to do with it. And I've dealt with civil engineering. It is not a cheap bill. And for that fact, I just don't know where you're going to go with it. Like, you're going to have it a very advanced strategy. So unless you personally like want to lock this thing up and use it to your advantage, I just don't know, A, how do you fund it? B, how do you make money with it? And then even if you did a creative deal with it, how are you going to create cash on a vacant piece of land that has no development at all on it? And the only thing that's going to fix that is time and circumstance. So I just,
it's
I would
also
just
heavily
kinda,
wooded already.
move on. It's just not going to work. Like, guys, when you guys are doing this stuff,
Okay, well,
especially when you do virtual and you're in small
okay.
populations, you got to take note to it. Okay, Emery's frozen up on me. Let me jump on. What's up, Ron? How you doing?
There we
You
go.
there?
What's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm blessed, man. How are you?
Man, I'm blessed too. I love to hear it.
What's going on?
I just got one question, man. When you cold call, right? And you call them, you say, "Hey, this is Ron. Give me a call back," right? How do you know who's calling you back?
So you're talking about when you call them and you get like a voicemail, right?
Yes.
So so part of this is you have to understand the strategy you're going to implement. So sometimes on the first call, sometimes it's best not to leave a message. You know why?
No, why? Teach me something.
What do you do when you get missed calls?
Either call them back or I don't.
Because curiosity usually kills you. So unless it's someone you just don't want to deal with it. But here's the reality, guys, when you get like that unknown number, unless it says, unknown caller, somebody calls me like, dude, the curiosity kills us all. Like, okay, who's calling me? I don't understand this person. You look up the area code, you try to figure it out, and then eventually you wind up calling. It's one of the best strategies you can play in cold calling. So I'm not a cold calling expert. My son is. Like, hundreds of thousands of calls he's personally done. So he's been in the trenches. He's tried it multiple ways. He never leaves a message on the first round because if you leave message after message, you become a stalker. You're not a cold caller. So you got to leave some mystery in what you do. Eventually, at some point, you do have to leave a message. So you have to establish like a policy so you don't drive yourself nuts in how you're going to do it. On that first missed call, a good percentage of those people will call you back automatically without you doing any effort. And you get a little bit less resistance because they're like, who is this? What are you calling me for? That's easier to say, stop calling me because you're trying to buy my house. So that's rule number one. But if you want to go through free wholesaling, that goes into like detail on how to address on how you want to do it. Now, different markets sometimes take different strategies. But for the most part, if it was me, I would not leave a message on the first shot and hope for at least 30 to 40% of those people just to call me back out of curiosity. Because guys, curiosity is the secret in marketing. If you can leave people just slightly on the hook, like, we are curious creatures. If we don't know something, we want to know about it. So the problem is if you leave a message, you say, hey, this is Ron. I'm looking to buy a house here. Ron, get off. Like, I don't want to deal with you. Like, maybe they do want to sell their house. They don't want to deal with like a salesperson. So, you just got to make a decision though. Like, every little market's a little bit different because we have different markets where we have to leave a message because of the return call rate so low, and we kind of work the numbers. So that goes back to, have you ever heard of RVM's ringless voicemail? That's how it was invented. They said curiosity was the number one way to get sales on people. So even if you do leave a message, you got to leave a message like so let me hear when you leave a message. What's it sound like?
I haven't done it yet.
Okay. So if you leave a message, it's got to be just like if you were having a buddy call you.
Okay.
Hey, John, it's Ron. Hey, give me a call back. I got a quick question for you. You can't go, hey, this is XYZ Piranha Shark Buying Company. We want to buy your house, pay you cash. And I'm done. Like, I already know what you're going to try to do, and I'm just going to delete your voicemail right off the bat. That's why
Yeah.
ringless voicemail was pretty much outlawed in this country. It was dangerous. Honestly, of all the tools in my 21 years of doing wholesaling, ringless voicemail by far was the most effective. It's just not legal in the markets I do it in anymore. So
Okay.
take note to it. Go, what works in RVM? It's the curiosity. People just go, oh my God. Like it was genius, but it was sneaky, and you know that.
It's
So
like cheating almost.
think about it, man. And that was back when like it was just like I go, this is the great. Honestly, guys, I would spend. It was embarrassing. We would skip trace the numbers. We used the service for it. We did it, and it was unbelievable the amount of leads we would get doing it. But I knew it wasn't right. As bad as that sounds. So my son, like, he pushed me into doing it, but I can't regret it because we made a lot of money doing it. But when I got my cease and desist orders the second time, and I had to meet with the state representative and sign an agreement, I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore, because it was $25,000 per call. And then a bunch of us got hit with us. It wasn't just me. They were going after everybody in the state. So I'm like, eh. And that's what, like any type of intrusive marketing, that's what happens with it. But they're never going to be able to completely outlaw cold calling. So you want to leave curiosity in it.
Okay. I appreciate that, man. I went through all the course that you guys provide. I've been watching the lives every day for like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or so.
I feel like I know you, man.
Yeah, I've been just soaking it all in, man. So
Yeah.
But that part right there really had me stumped. I'm like, if I'm calling all these people with all these different random numbers, and people call me back, if I'm leaving messages, how in the world am I supposed to know what property this is?
So you got to sit down and figure out some logistics and how you do it. So I'd rather you take action than like not do anything at all. So you got to sort out. So if you're going to call from a particular phone number, my idea in the long run, and you can figure this out, it's easy to sort out, is when people call you back on a number, is, when you're calling back, you've got to know that they're from a cold call being returned. So how you do the logistics to it, you can figure out the technology. It's not that hard with virtual numbers and stuff like that. So if I call back on this number and they call back, now I will tell you, we used to do a little trick. Now, remember, I don't manage cold calling. My son does. We used to do a little trick when we to see if people were paying attention. Is we do this on SMS. We would leave a different phone number for them to reach out back to us, and that would see if people were actually reading it and following directions. A lot of people will call back on the number you called on and say, "Hey, to kind of take me off your list." You can play with that one a little bit too. Say, "Listen, this is John. I'm going to give you my cell phone. Call me at 772." Now, it's still a cell phone, even though it's a business line. And you could do a virtual number, and it requires people to jump through one more hoop, although that could have a downplay effect on it. But what you have to do is when you get an incoming call, you have to know. So whenever our company gets an incoming call on direct mail, that phone number is dedicated to that type of incoming call for a particular city or county. And so when everyone calls, I go, "Hey, here's a call coming in from West Palm Beach." It's a direct mail. So they know exactly what they're doing. There's a different mentality between direct mail. I will tell you, there's definitely a different mentality when people return a cold call. So we don't go into complete depth in this, but the understanding. So do you merge all your numbers on one phone?
No, not yet.
What you want to do? You want to find a way.
Anything yet with that?
You wanted to find a way to separate so you can understand who's calling you back. Because man, when everyone starts calling you back, it's like, oh my God, like, is this John, my friend? I'm going to the game with, or like you calling me to sell a house? And it's like, if you're prepared for the phone call, you know how to deal with it. Like, the reality is, we treat our friends people as opposed to a stranger. You've got to be on your perfect P's and Q's with your friends. You don't have to worry about that. And so find a way when that call comes in, you know where it's coming from. So you can achieve that with any type of virtual phone number. Companies like Vumber, CallRail, don't go deep in the expense on it, but you can get a dedicated virtual number for $10, and you can call on an app and like do all your numbers however you want to do it. I'm not getting into the minutia of cold calling, but when the call comes back in, you know where it's coming from, so you can go, okay, I got a guy returning a cold call. And then whenever you get someone who's you're conversing with and you have a good shot at getting a deal is you want to get them on another number, because you got to get them off that cold calling, because it's going to be the same. Like, you've got to separate your leads when they come in on cold calls, because when they return the cold call, they're hostile. It's like, who is this? What did you call me for? And you got to
Okay.
be in a mode like, hey, it's Ron. And they don't know how to respond to that every time. Hey, it's Ron.
Yeah.
You just shut up. They're like, Ron? And then they start thinking, who's Ron? Remember, I called you earlier in the day.
Yeah.
You own
Yeah.
that property on 46th Street, right? Oh, yeah. How'd you know that? I happened to drive by it. Hey, do you mind? I got a couple questions about the house. You mind if and that it changes the whole trajectory, because if you get in that, who is this? Why are you calling me? Get me off your list. I'm going to call the police. You call me again. You got to find a way to get them out of that mode. So if you know they're coming in on like a hostile call, you're like, okay, Ron's prepared. Here he comes. You go, hey, who is this? It's Ron. Remember me? Ron, I don't think I know a Ron. Remember, I called you earlier today about the house you have on 46th Street. Oh, how do you know so much about me? I go, listen, dude, I just drove by the house. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about it? And then you go into your regular thing. You got to get them past that like attack mode. And if you can identify that call, I'm not a logistics expert. I'm the worst one at that. But people tell me how to do it. And it doesn't cost a lot of money, 10, 20 bucks type of deal. But if you know that call's coming in and you get 8 in a row, you can deal with them. It's like, if you ever played football and you're on offense and your quarterback turns it over and then you got to be on defense, it's like, oh crap, I got to figure out how to tackle now. And it's shocking. I'm telling you, it happens all the time. I used to be a defensive guy, and my favorite thing in the world is when we got the ball, because then I got to smack the crap out of people. And it was like my favorite thing. I got so excited and giddy. But offensive guys, they hate tackling like a passion, because they're not meant like, okay, I'm blocking. Oh crap, and then if you look at them, they all look like they're in some sort of like crazy dance. And I'm here to tell you, the best way to do it is identify the call coming in and get in the mindset to be able to attack it. And then once you throw people off, if there's an opportunity there, a motivation, you have a shot. You have to separate yourself from all the other cold callers.
Okay. So off topic, what position did you play?
I wasn't great at football. I played defensive end. You know what I was lacking is I had the mentality, I didn't have the speed. And in high school football, if you ain't got speed, you're dead, man. Speed kills. Safety. Speed is the number one asset you can have in high school football. That's why I converted over to wrestling, because I was like, okay, I know how to do this. But if you don't, the reality is you got to have speed in high school football, because you can have all the power you want. Like it's unbelievable. And I love I go to our local high school games, and they had one player playing like 4 or 5 positions on offense and defense. You know, that's the fastest guy on the team. But it's like, so it's amazing. But as you progress in the sport, you have to keep adding other elements, power, speed, football smarts. But in high school, dude, just go over to the track. Go find the guys on the track team and see if you can get them in a uniform, because you will dominate if you do it, because our best receivers, our best safety, they all came from the track team. They knew how to run, man. It's like, so I'm just telling you, you have to be prepared. It's like, am I tackling or am I blocking? And it's like but when it switches, they're calling in. It's like, oh crap, we turned the ball over. I got to cut it. And you can't be off guard. They're going to be caught off guard. You can't be off guard, and you have to protect yourself. Guys, you have to immerse yourself in your business and understand these little nuances. It's what makes a difference between getting a deal and not getting a deal, because you have a lot of competition. Guys, life is a competition. You got to find a way to dominate your competition. These little tools, I could do this for days with you, but that's why I want to keep you guys connected and help you out as much as I can.
I appreciate it, Rick, man.
Okay, man.
Yeah, I did some reverse driving for dollars like a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I only hit maybe 30, 40 properties. Got 3 or 4 calls back. And speed killed me, right? So one person, they called me back, and it was actually, I enjoyed the conversation. It was real good conversation. It was great.
Perfect.
Problem was, I missed their call. I was dealing with my children.
Yeah.
Called them back like an hour or so later.
Kids will do that to you.
Yeah. So in that time span between them calling me and me calling them back, they got a contract with the realtor. So I probably wouldn't have been their best option anyways.
It's fine. Like,
But
listen,
you know, it
you don't get
happens.
them all, but you understand it, dude. Let me tell you, man, I was juggling 2 small kids the entire time I was doing wholesaling by myself. So like, I know I used to throw my kids, I go, hey, listen, daddy's going to stop by and look at a house. And like, I got in trouble for taking my daughter a house that was extremely inappropriate. I'll just leave it there. It was a massive party house. And boy, did she went and tell mama, and daddy got in
Oh
trouble.
man,
Daddy brought home a big fat check a month later. And
made things a little better.
but to this day, she tells you, remember that time you took me to that house? I'm like, oh yeah, we got chased by a hornet's nest in the front. Then we got inside. I had to like cover her eyes and like take her out. And then they called the cops because they thought I broke in the house. So it was like a 3-prong. So she let me get it. My daughter got stung by wasps, saw stuff she shouldn't have saw, and then she got interrogated by the police. What are you doing? I go, baby, it's called wholesaling, man, and I love it. And I talked my way out of the whole thing, but like
Man,
it's fun, man. Just keep doing what you're doing and just keep thinking like I just taught you. Just think a little bit outside the box, because you can't be your average salesman. You got to be a person that, if you like to have conversations, you got to find a way to get to the conversation, and you can't be a robot. And with AI and all this crap coming out, there's a lot of people going to be left in the dust. You will never replace you. You have to have that human connection. So keep it. You're doing it the right way.
cool, man. Thank you for the words,
Okay.
bro.
Awesome.
I'll keep
See you,
in
bro.
contact.
Okay. So guys, that is it today. So if you don't want to be lazy and you really want to become rich, understand that you've got to start addressing your self-talk, and you have to understand you cannot negotiate with yourself. If those are the 2 rules that you can hammer into, I want you to get today. Go back, watch the live stream. It's on replay. Guys, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, Rick Ginn, my son's channel, Zach Ginn. We will be back on Sunday and Monday. Remember, we're doing the 100 offer challenge. And remember, if you guys want to have a deal in JV with us, we are going to put the link up soon. We have renovated it. We have got the best team in the world to work with us, and we have figured out how to do it on a mass scale, and we want to include you guys. So guys, go out there, get some deals, have fun. And guys, I know you're not lazy because you're wholesalers. You think the opposite of how society does. Go out there and get deals. I'll see you guys.